little bit difficult to hear at times, but thank you all so very much for coming along this morning. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Liz Innes, the Mayor. And look, we've just experienced something in the north of the Shire that I absolutely hope that it doesn't pan out to happen to anywhere else in our Shire. I'll leave it up to Warren to probably all of you are aware that I think we're up to about 380 houses in the Shire lost already. We've had, so you know a little bit about the experience of what has happened in the north of the Shire. It has been extremely difficult to get communication out. We've had very, very limited mobile reception and internet in the northern part of the Shire. We have had absolute areas of no electricity, and we are really rallying around each other as a community. There are still a lot of people that have lost everything, and going forward they are absolutely going to need every ounce of support that they can possibly get. In those early few days, we certainly were absolutely drowning, and the response that we were getting was incredible, but the task ahead was absolutely overwhelming. We have a community that is in shock. We have, agencies that have absolutely given their all on your behalf and our behalf to make sure that we have services such as power, sewage, water, trying to get things like garbage collection. Those types of things has just been an absolutely mammoth effort. The thing that has come out in the community so far that has been through this is that they absolutely took the advice and the warnings that were given to them in the days leading up to what we knew was going to be potentially devastating days, and unfortunately they did unfold to be that devastation. But the amazing thing was that the community did the right thing. Our visitors left when they were asked to leave and given the opportunity, and what they did was take an enormous amount of pressure off everybody that is trying to deal with the massive amount that was ahead of us. Also the local community there really listened to the advice out of the RFS and got out early, and we're so grateful that everybody did that. And so we know that we're here to get you guys prepared. We're here to give you the most updated advice that we can possibly give you. But I just want to say to you all, I'm so proud of this incredible place that we call home, and the way that you are all rallying around each other, supporting each other. You're going to need to in the coming days and weeks and months and years ahead. This is going to be a marathon. It is not a sprint race. Please be patient. Please understand that everyone is doing their very, very, very best. You'll get the most up-to-date advice that we can possibly give you. And as I said, take care, stay safe, listen to the advice, help each other. Don't wait for somebody to come and fix something for you. If you can step up and fix it yourself, do. If you see somebody struggling and in need of help, offer where you can help. Don't wait to be asked. Just step in and help out where you can, because it's happening, all over the Shire, and it's just a wonderful thing to see. So my heart goes out to you all, and stay safe, and let's get through this together. We will be okay. We're an incredibly resilient community, and together we'll get through this. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, really phone calls like still can. Look, we're going to hand you over at the moment to Captain Sophie Taylor, from the RFS, and she's going to be giving you the RFS advice. So thank you, Sophie.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming. I've got some information here. As she said, I'm Captain of Narooma of the Rural Fire Service. We will hold all questions to the end, and Dave and Mick will give me a hand. We won't be able to answer everybody's, but we'll give it our best shot. Apologies from the duty incident controller. He's a bit occupied, so he sends in his apologies. There remains large amounts of uncontained fire between Batemans Bay and the Victorian border, namely the Clyde Mountain fire in the north, Coonamble and Badger forest fires in the south of Uruguay. BOM have predicted a return of warm and windy weather on Friday. Hot, dry northwesterly winds will again affect parts of the fire ground. Despite some recent patchy rain, there are several hours of dry, windy conditions and a late southerly change forecast around midnight on Friday. These forecast conditions will increase fire behaviour and lead to challenging conditions for firefighting and community. The clear priority for New South Wales Rural Fire Service is always the protection of life and property, and in that order. Firefighting resources are deployed strategically to provide optimal coverage. Please always follow the advice of emergency services to ensure the safety of yourself and others. We will all need to monitor the weather forecast leading into Friday. Spend today and Thursday preparing your property. The weather will deteriorate early. We are seeking residents in rural, remote areas and those outside the main centres to leave by Thursday morning to a more built-up area. We do not want residents in the rural, remote area. If you do not need to be there, then don't. Monitor all forms of official communication: local radio, ABC, Southeast, fires near me, major fire updates, official social media, alerts from the Rural Fire Service and local authorities. Be prepared to enact your bushfire survival plan. And we ask only to call 000 if you're in a life-threatening situation. That's it. Does anyone have any questions? Questions after?
Look, we might just cover off a few more things first. So I'm just going to hand over to Louise, where Louise is with the RSPCA and just wants to cover off on some of the animal issues.
Yes, it's frightening and distressing as all of this is for us. As you can imagine, it's even more so for animals. RSPCA has been receiving a lot of reports of animals left in homes, locked in, or wandering the streets. There will also be injured animals that apparently aren't being attended to. There is a number you can ring. We have several inspectors in the area, and you can be assured that if you ring this number and report what you've seen, it will be attended to very quickly. The number to ring is 1300 cruelty. That's the cruelty hotline. You can ring that number and just report the details of what you've seen, and make sure that means that those animals will be attended to, and you know, it will be ensured that they're okay.
Would you make that into numbers instead of cruelty? Some people don't know.
1300 278 3589. I have a lot of magnets with that number on them, and I'll stand over near the door when the meeting is finished, and I'll give them to people to take with them. You can just have it handy. And if you're in doubt about something, report it anyway. An inspector would much rather attend an incident where there actually wasn't a problem, rather than the alternative, which means if you ignore it, it could mean an animal's life. So thank you very much.
Excuse me, number again.
Can I just add one thing to that? I live in a rural remote area and it's been completely decimated. We put out water for the birds straight away, but I have cats and they go to where they will congregate. I've had to absolutely lock up my cats, they had bells on, but I'm going to plead with people to please keep your cats contained, because the precious few little survivors that we have now, we can't afford to lose any more. So it is something that we can all do collectively. Sorry to add on to that, but it's a really important message.
Thanks, Liz. For those who don't know me, I'm Warren Sharp. My normal day job is the Director of Infrastructure Services at Council. My current full-time and then some. Currently two very large teams working to support the community. One of those teams is the RFS Incident Management Team, and that is the team that is directly fighting the fire. And that's where you have the RFS Incident Controller, currently Angus Barnes today, looking after all of the issues related to the fire. The second very large team that you have is called the Emergency Operations Centre, and I'm part of that team. That team has people like police, SES, welfare, Essential Energy, Transport for New South Wales, and lots of other agencies in there, health, etc. And our job basically is to support the team fighting the fire and all of the community around that fire. Can I say at the moment that we are in a bit of a funny situation. In the north of the Shire, our Shire has been completely smashed. In our rural areas, that is likewise. And unfortunately, we have lost several lives in our Shire already. The response both to our visitors when we had to depopulate the Shire, so I can't remember what day it was, but about a week ago, we wrote on the top of our board to depopulate the Shire. And we wanted to do that for two reasons. One was to ensure that those visitors that were here were safe. The second reason was so that we could better look after the community and the residents that were here. That was a long 48 hours, I can assure you of that, to get those people out. We had no fuel, no communications, and no power. And so to extend what we had to do, and then we had also highlight to actually get those people out of our Shire so that we could better look after you was huge. The firefighting effort, of course, with all the frontline people has been extraordinary, and we've seen many examples where our losses would have been much higher. The official number on houses lost is 380, but there are many more severely damaged, and we're only about 70% through doing the building assessments of the fire from New Year's Eve, let alone the fire that's come in recent days and gone up into the Arrowong Valley and other locations. For our northern community, there are sections of Mogo that are no longer existing. There are whole villages at Rosedale that are no longer existing. Our goal now is to basically do two things. It's to stand up the community in the north of the Shire and to protect the community in the south of the Shire. So you've received advice from the RFS about what you need to do in this area. If you are in these main town centres, you will be safe. So please heed the advice as it comes through. Last Saturday could have been absolutely catastrophic. The predictions were that that fire was going to hit the coast between 3 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and if that had occurred, we would have lost many more houses and potentially life. So it is so important we remove that first obstacle of ensuring that people are first and foremost safe. We can rebuild houses, we can't replace life. So please, as the advice comes, and you've got some advice today, but the weather predictions and the advice that comes with it will change as we go forward. So you need to stay on tune with the ABC with the RFS advice, we are attempting as the EAC to put out updates at 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock every day. If you're on our Facebook, you'll see that we're putting out lots and lots of additional advice as things go on. A few of us are now quite familiar with Duncan and others putting a camper in front of our face and trying to get you better information as we go on. At the moment in the south of the Shire, you can see on this map over here where the fire is to the west of Princes Highway. To give you, I guess, some idea about what happens when that fire comes through, besides the property damage, you will lose property, you will lose vehicle access. That's the first thing. Trees fall across the road, absolutely everywhere. You will lose power and you will lose telecommunications. So make your decision early. If your decision is, as Liz made, to stay and defend her house, and she called me at 2:45 in the morning as that fire came over, then you need to be really well prepared. Not just both physically and with the stuff you've got in place, but mentally. It's a horrifying experience. It's a horrifying experience. So take the decision to protect you and your family first and your property second, would be my advice. If you follow the directions and you come here, you will be looked after. Now, our evac centres are set up to handle about 150 people in each of them, and we've dealt with about 10,000. So it's a big job, and it would have been, if we don't have another 50 or 60,000 tourists here, we wouldn't have done it. When you go to these centres, they are not a cruise ship, they're a lifeboat. Okay? So if you are at those centres, please be patient. The people that are there are people from our own community who are doing their absolute best to look after you for a short period of time and then have you return to your homes. If you are in Narooma and you feel safe in your own home, please stay at your own home. If you feel threatened or insecure, then move to the evac centre, but only then. If we get to a stage where we get to a larger evacuation, we will attempt to use all 3 evac centres. And so you may be asked to go to Hanging Rock and Batemans Bay. And we know that's an inconvenience, but what it means is we can better cope with the load. The other day we had Burnaby evacuated and many of those people came here. So we had 4,400 people officially registered, and I don't know how many thousand there were unofficially there at that evacuation centre, and somehow those people coped and managed to get it through. We're going to have a massive job to clean up. Can I assure you that we are getting fantastic support? Andrew Constance was also directly affected. His house is in a rural area in that area of Batemans Bay, and he went back to defend his house. And so everyone is affected. It's not just a single person. There's very large numbers of our community who have been directly affected. The reason Andrew is not here right now is that the Deputy PM has just landed and is in Maria with Andrew now, and also with a gentleman by the name of Dick Evans, who is going to be our recovery coordinator for this area. So we're in that funny situation right at the moment where we have a response, a very large response going on. But in parts of the Shire, we've got people who need to start that recovery process. They have no home, they have to find accommodation. Many of them are living with friends, and they have to be re-accommodated. We also have people here like the gentleman standing over here in the car key, Major Paul Underwood. So Paul came a couple of nights ago, and we have been discussing with Paul how the Australian Defence Force can actually assist our community to be stood back up. And today we have 30 Armed Forces personnel in Maria who have been tasked for major clean-up duty on our roads, and also things that assist us stand up our telecommunications so that we get people safely into, say, Mount Wanderer, and at some stage you might actually get a television back. They are lower priority items, I've got to say. Standing the radio up, watching the cricket, I would have loved to see the Aussies beat New Zealand just one more time. But the key things are power. So in the north we still have quite a few communities without power. I was out at Narragunda yesterday, looking at and speaking to the people who sheltered in the shed there to survive. And I looked at a power pole that used to have a transformer on it. The transformer is on the ground. There is absolutely no sign that a power pole ever existed. As you drive out into those western areas, and I encourage you not to, there are many, many dangerous trees out there. And we are cutting single tracks through those and getting firefighters in to try and do further protection and supply people and so on. We have dozers and a range of gear coming to start the massive cleanup, but many of our bridges, currently standing at about 12 with I don't know how many damaged, no longer exist. They're burnt to the ground. So it is a big job. We're still in front of the fire. We're doing lots and lots of protection work on all our critical infrastructure. We've been first and foremost, in terms of prioritisation, we service and protect the hospitals. So there's lots and lots of things to be done, but everything we do in that centre has a priority. We've got people in retirement homes. They're obviously high-profile sites, but there are sites that you might not think of, like our key water pumping station that will restore water to our shire. If we lose that, that's going to be problematic, I suggest. So, can I say that your council crews have been working around the clock. The water and sewer guys, when we lost power, our system's normally operated through all sorts of amazing telemetry and what we call SCADA, so electronic stuff that operates our system. They've been working 18 hours a day, turning on and off valves all around the shire just to get your water. So, yeah. Central Energy guys have come in, they've had support from Andrew Constance and back to Ausgrid. We've had so many generators supplied, I can't remember what the last tally is. They're in there operating things like a sewage treatment plant, a water treatment plant, and all sorts of additions, including the evacuation centres in and around the shire to try and keep you stood up. So I can understand right at the moment that you would have a level of anxiety because it's a bit different down here to the north of the shire where people are definitely directly impacted. Many of those are our staff who are back actually in incident management controls, out in the field, standing up water and sewer, and just working. So, sorry. Yeah. The other thing at the moment is do you want me to just cover that? The other thing at the moment is that we are receiving lots and lots of wonderful donations to the point where we can no longer cope with that. I spent about half a Wednesday dealing with trucks coming from Queensland, Victoria, all over the place. I actually diverted one of the trucks from the Gold Coast to Moree because those poor buggers out there have been in drought for 7 years. So if you are thinking about those sort of things, can I just ask you to hold a couple of weeks until we're through this response effort? The ADF have agreed to assist us with some logistics around that. We're getting enough water, food, etc. We ran some food out to the poor buggers out at Narragunda yesterday, and also some power arrangements and other bits and pieces so that they can be stood up in that location. We will get through this. We've got a fantastic team. We will support you until it's done. We're about 6 weeks in. People are saying it'll be, middle of February or wherever it's going to be. It won't be out until it's out, and we'll be here until it is. You've got Red Cross, Salvation Army, St Vincent's, Anglicare, etc. So if you're thinking of donations, please go to those bodies to do that. And that's probably all I want to say, other than, obviously we're totally committed to this community.
Okay, we'll just field a few questions. Just look, if it's just questions on what you've already been given, perhaps just try and go through some of the information. A lot of it's been there. But if you could speak up, I'll repeat the question and try and get you the answers.
Yeah, on the map, that described as the Clyde Mountain fire.
Yep.
I'm not sure that's right. I think it's Badger Forest Road fire. So if you're looking at the website, can we have a clarification as to which fire that is?
Certainly. Can we have clarification as to which fire this is? There's a question around, is it the Clyde River fire?
Is it Badger fire?
This is on here, it's the Badger fire.
Okay, but it says on this thing here, Clyde Mountain. So I'm finding out.
So the question was about the actual naming of the fire. So the fire used to be the Corrowing fire, and all the hot things associated with that was the Corrowing fire. This is when it was north of the King's Highway. I know, nothing good to. When the fire crossed into our council area, the fire, in terms of the section, what they call a Section 44 declaration, was changed to the name of the Clyde Mountain Fire. Subsequent to that, we had some lightning strikes and so on that caused these other individual fires. But in terms of anything you're going to see on a map, it'll be called the Clyde Fire because that's the Section 94 declaration. If you're looking at these individual areas like the Badger Fire, when you go into fires near me and you click on it, it'll be called the Badger Fire. But the actual event that we're in, managing all of these fires, is called the Clyde, Section 44 declaration. After that.
For those people that, and I'm one of them, that backed onto a council reserve with tall timber and scrub and whatever in it, we were advised earlier to use today and tomorrow to prepare for the fire that may come on Friday. Are we allowed to clear 20 or 30 metres of the rubbish back into a council reserve without the risk of being fined?
Look, obviously, you've put council staff on, we have policies in place, but if it was my place, I'd be doing everything that I could to make sure that my property was cleared. Now, what I mean by that, what I did to prepare my property, is I got in under there and I raked up every leaf, every bit of waste that I could. Now, I couldn't take it to the dump because I'm miles away. So what I did with it is I got it as far away in one place from my house as I could. And on the day of the fire, I wet it down substantially so that if it did get a spot into it, hopefully, fingers crossed, and you know what? That pile was the only bloody thing on my property that didn't burn. Go figure. So, look, I know that we're saying to people to, really take care, but your priority is to start as close to your house as you can, get as much of that away from your house in one place where, I know a lot of people haven't got the capacity to get it to the tips and bins. There is really good information that I found really helpful on the RFS website, and it was how prepared is your house. Things like really good tips about disconnecting your gas bottles and putting them inside, making sure that you had, towels, wet towels and things around your door jambs, making sure that you had your gutters cleaned and bunged and filled with water, those types of things. So please go on and have a look at the information that is available on the RFS website. It is fantastic. Hope that helps you a little bit, but yes, I'd be getting in there and cleaning it up.
Haven Council have waived fees for green waste. Will you be doing the same?
Yes, look, that's a really good question. Mr. Usher, do you want to come and...
Could you repeat?
Oh, okay, sorry. All right. The question was, Shoalhaven have waived the tipping fees for people bringing in their green waste. Will you, the Delegate Shire Council, be doing the same or looking at the same thing?
Lindsay Usher, Director of Planning and Sustainability Council. Look, that decision by Shoalhaven was made late yesterday afternoon. The feedback we've had from staff has actually caused a lot of problems for them now because a lot of them are bringing material that they didn't need to bring in, and they're also getting inundated with people who done the right thing early, paid, got it done early, and we now come back saying I want a refund. So it's causing a lot of problems. Look, we're doing what we can. The other difficulty we have is that we have, our shire is serviced by two facilities, one here at Brow, one at Surf Beach. Surf Beach is down, it's still on fire. We had 8 tankers there all day yesterday, and they're back there again today trying to actually put that site out so we can actually bring it back up. So we're really limited in terms of the space we can use at the moment for the entire shire. That's to manage all of our waste needs. So, look, do the right thing. As the Mayor explained before, the most important thing is to get that waste lift matter, particularly in stuff like our wage meter around the area of the house. Use your green bins. We are getting the trucks out as soon as we can. They're going around. Put all 3 bins out, irrespective of what day it is, and the guys will get 2 and empty trucks out as soon as they possibly can.
And look, we'll be having some following conversations around that very subject, and you know, whatever information we will be providing through the Facebook at council. But as I said, the most important thing is to start getting it as far away from the house. Use each other's bins. If you can share bins, if you can go to your neighbour and say, have you got a bit of extra space, and get those bins out. It has caused a few issues in the north, obviously, you know, when it sort of started up in Durras in the north, for example, you know, the bins were put out that day. Everybody had to evacuate out of that area. There was huge concerns in that local area that there were bins sitting there, but we really at that stage couldn't send crews in to get those bins out because it was not safe. So, as I said, the number one most important thing is to just get it as far away from your house as you can. And the best thing that you can do to give these incredible human beings the best chance of defending what properties they can is to make sure your house is well prepared. Okay?
Question right in the car.
I'd just like to qualify what I was talking about before, and I appreciate your response. But the common sense thing to do is to do what's necessary within reason to protect your home. The only qualification I put on what I was talking about in clearing into a council reserve is the sort of thing I'm thinking of is not taking out remnant timber. You know, beautiful remnant timber and this sort of thing you protect. So that if you are taking out rubbish, you know, we had a old burn about a year ago.
Yes, so
that's killed a lot of the scrub. So what you would do is maybe move that scrub, but don't push the scrub back up against green timber. Try and find a canopy, a gap in the canopy.
I can tell you what, in the areas in the north of the Shire, there's not much left of that remnant timber. There's not much left of anything. So what I'm going to say to you, is that the main priority is to get it away from your house. I would not spend a whole lot of time worrying about where you get it to, because when this monster comes through, it's not going to leave very much behind. I'm sorry about that, but that's the reality of what has happened in the north this evening.
For you, are you going to open a mayoral bank for us to be able to donate to keep it local?
Thank you. Look, right at the moment.
Question, Liz.
Okay, so sorry. The question was: are we going to be opening a mayoral fund to keep that money locally here? Look, thank you for the question. Right at the moment, we have just been going like this and trying to get our heads above water. We know that a lot of people really want to start those things happening, but I'm just going to ask you to be patient for a week or two. There is going to be a massive effort put into recovery, and we will make sure that we give you as much information. Those decisions, when we get the chance to get our head above water and make some decisions around the next steps, because as Warren said, right now we're still trying to get power to people in the north and sewage and water and those things. So as soon as we can give you some information on that, we will.
I just want to add something about the experience in terms of losing houses. Obviously houses were lost from direct flame impact, but there are also houses lost just from ember attack. So it is important that you go to the RFS website, you have a look at that and you look at how you prepare your house prepping. Now there's a gentleman here who's had his hand up for the last 10 minutes and he's just walked from the back of the glass to here, so I'm just going to give him the opportunity to ask a question.
What's our most valuable source in fighting fires? People? What is it? Right. So can we get someone from RFS to please explain how important it is not to be hosing down your homes hours before any sign of a fire, because you're just wasting it, and certainly not be washing your cars, your Mercedes-Benz that have been seen in the street of cars, dirty, and there's one Mercedes-Benz that's been washed and hasn't got a mark on it. Like seriously, it's our most valuable resource and we are very limited. It could save or ruin the town.
So the question was about using water and watering down your house and around your property a long time in front of the fire coming. So first of all, there's been a few comments that, basically the shire's out of water. That's not the case, that's not the issue being raised here. In the Tarsha fire, people basically leaving their house, put sprinklers on their lawns, etc. and left. That drained the reservoir and left nothing to fight fire. So that's the issue that's being raised here. There's no point days in advance of you throwing water all around your property. That's really of value as the fire approaches. So the gentleman's right. Please use common sense and when you're in relation to water use. And we would ask you, not to be washing your car and that sort of stuff right at the moment. We've been doing everything we can to keep the reservoirs full. It has been extremely challenging. That's why we've got a boil water notice in the south at the moment, because we had to bypass our treatment plant and do all sorts of unusual things behind the scenes just to get the volume up to meet the demand. That's the lady again.
My question is Wanga and Dalmini considered a remote area for this purpose? Considering the forest between Wanga and Dalmini, is there any chance that will be backburned, or what is the advice regarding safety on these lands in Kayanga and Dalmini?
So the question is Kayanga Dalmini at threat? And the RFS might want to add to this. I can give you information from being in the briefing session. There's no active backburning operation in terms of burning back off the villages at the moment. They would actually put fire into the landscape and cause greater concern. They are doing a lot of work in containment strategies as the fire comes forward to try and get spots where they might have to do what we call a tactical burn. So that's as the fire approaches and they try and trap that fire off. Anything that's on the interface, the bushland interface, if I lived there and my wife was living there, I'd have her in the evac centre. My place is on the sort of close to the bush interface, but I've got a road and a property within our property. So we've taken the choice as a family to prepare our property, to shut fence off, to do all the things that Liz was referring to try and prepare and protect our property. So you need to make that choice, but make it early and do not do once the fire comes.
What roads are presently open? Kings Highway, the Kangaroo Valley, or any of them that people can get up or down, away from or down from?
Yeah, so at the moment, the Princess Highway, north and south, is open. As the fire comes through, when it comes through, I think it's a matter of when rather than if at this stage, unless we get some very unusual out-of-place rain. The Princess Highway will be closed. At the moment, the Kings Highway is closed, and we're doing everything we can with the Transport for New South Wales crews. So previously we were doing that work. We've now got Transport for New South Wales with multiple crews doing that. We've pulled all our crews back to stand up all our local road network. I would expect that sometime next week the Kings Highway might be in a situation where it can be returned to public use. Hasn't been able to be up until now, because until 2 days ago it had live fire on the road. And effectively it's burned from Batemans Bay almost to Braidwood.
Lady here with the question.
Oh, hello. Yesterday I was driving around town and there's some of the people that are driving their car quite fast around town. Could they please slow down a bit? That's all. So
it was a request for people to take their time and be a bit calmer. Liz and I were passed by a gentleman on the way down. I don't think he was very calm. But yeah, just take your time. There's a really good point. In the rural areas in the north, as the fire came through, fences were burnt. Those cattle that were in those areas were finding their way onto the highway. There's lots and lots of animals attempting to escape. keep your lights on. You might think you can see, but people need to see you when you're driving around if you are. Slow down, and if this fire approaches across the highway, stay put in town. Don't try and be on the highway. Your car is not a safe place to be.
Is the Brown Mountain open?
The Brown Mountain up to Snowy Mountains Highway is open at this stage. So if you don't know live traffic, for those of you who've got the benefit of a mobile phone, put the app live traffic on. It will show you all the roads that are open at the current time and those that are closed. Yeah.
We have about 40 acres of privately owned bush behind, runs along the back of the houses in our street, probably a dozen houses concerned. We've spoken to council before about removing weeds and things like that overhanging our property, and council have said that's only an advisory thing. They can't force them to do that. Is there any way you can, we can't get his name, council won't give his name, he's a fellow from Sydney. Can council get him to clear along the back fences?
So the question pertains to the preparation of our neighbours' properties. So where council owns properties, we do what they call asset protection zone between any bushland area and the property. This happens to be a case where it's private property beside the dwelling. There's nothing we can do right at the moment in the face of the fire coming. What the normal process is, if you make a complaint about that property, it goes directly to the RFS. The RFS then inspect and make a decision about what work needs to be done. And if they believe work is required, they issue a notice on the landowner. Just one more question up here. John.
On your map, where's Narooma?
Sorry, just a question.
Can somebody from RFS please give some sensible hints about use of grey water? I've spoken to a lot of people who know nothing about use of grey water or ways of conserving this.
Can we take that question offline? Anything that's universal for the rest of the community group?
I live in Dalmini. I see the fire there on the map there. It doesn't really tell us a whole lot what the status of that fire is and what units might be available for that. And if the wind turns to a nor'wester, obviously we're going to be impacted. But what is the status of that fire there at the moment? Can the RFS tell us what's going on with that?
So the question is, what's happening with the fire at the moment? What's the status of the fire?
I think everybody wants to know because that doesn't really tell us the thing.
Yeah, so this morning when I was in Fire Control Centre, the fire, which is, I guess one of the challenges for the community with this fire as it comes through is there is an ebb and flow. And so you're in like 5, 6, 7 days of sort of the fire's just drifting around the bush. That's what's happening now. It's quietly burning around the bush.
Where in the bush?
Roughly where that map is showing. It's in the bush.
The entire area? Where's the worst area now?
Where are the active fires?
No one's actually said where this whole time.
Calm down, I think they actually.
So typically what happens in these situations is that obviously this marks the front of the fire, but as the fire comes through, you'll find that there's still active burning in these locations. If it's moved through quickly, an area quickly, you'll have still active fire in that space for some time. It'll be burning up the centre of trees, and you've got the possibility of wind blowing embers off that fire into the future. The RFS can let you know sort of what they've got. They've got a couple of crews out there doing ground mapping. Normally we pick that up from an aerial line scan, which gives us a heat signature of where the fire is currently. This is showing you the fire has burned through this area and is now this close to your towns.
Hi guys, look, with the safety beaches at the moment, due to the smoke layers, we are unsure of exactly where it is. As Warren said, we do have troops on the ground trying to ground map this for us so we can get you guys the latest information. Once we have that information, you guys will have that information. Yeah, and it will be updated on the fires
Thank you.
At the start of this saga, we were a bit concerned about the number of units who are actually out there. Since that time, there's been an influx of RFS units all over the state and ERA and all that sort of thing. Could you tell everyone, or give everyone some idea and some reassurance, because I think the amount of resources that's come into this area in recent days has been really fantastic.
Yeah, so the question related to has RFS got additional resources in for the fire? The answer to that, Morel, is yes. But can I say, right through this event, we've had aircraft support like you wouldn't believe. We had a Black Hawk over the Kings Highway, dropping 3,000 litre buckets all around us. We've had fantastic, that fire in Marie the other day, just to let you know what happened to that fire on that Saturday prediction. It was moving rapidly to Maria. Now they took two planes that were coming in over the top of the Maria Bridge, not very far over the Maria Bridge, something like that, landing, picking up in water without stopping, flying back to the fire ground and dumping water directly in front of the crews, and the fire crews were on the ground in front of that. That was just an incredible effort to stop that fire advancing and protect that area until the southerly came. Meanwhile, on the western front in the bush, where that protection was not there because they had to give priority, that fire took off like nothing. It was going gangbusters, and it went over the top of American Glen, across Arrowland Road, across Dewar River, and is now in the forest to the south of there. The fundamental thing is, for the number of houses in our shire, you cannot guarantee you're going to have an RFS truck or a CFA truck or a fire and rescue truck at your door. Okay? They'll be at the places where they've got the best chance for the resource they've got to be able to deal with the fire that's on their hand.
Based on the experience of this fire so far, if people have the opportunity to move to a safer place, would you recommend that? Like out of town, Sydney, Canberra, wherever?
I would say if you're a visitor in this shire now and you don't have to be here, you should leave.
Even if you're a resident and you've got a better place?
If you're a local and you have property here and you want to stay with your property, and because you're a resident, then of course you would want to stay. Yeah. But if you've got your property and you're at Taylor Point, for instance, and you're one of those people there, you need to make a very early decision, and the recommendation for remote areas is to come to a main town centre.
Can you confirm that Essential Energy is advising that they're going to cut the power to Narooma on Friday?
I was aware of an advice, I don't have the details. I think we have an Essential Energy person here. Here she comes now to rescue us.
I can confirm that that's not correct at this stage. I mean, things can change as the weather changes, but that is not correct.
Sorry, what's not correct?
So the question was, is the power going to be cut under a planned power outage on Friday? And the Essential Energy person has just advised you that that is not the case. What I can tell you with the power here is that we've experienced multiple power blackouts. That's highly likely that that will occur again. There's two ways for that to occur. One is that there is what they call a flashover. So as you have in your own house, you have a trip switch that if things start to get a bit awry in the power system, it switches off. As a fire approaches those 232 kilovolt lines that are coming into our shire, if it gets that sort of flashover effect, then the lines go down. And then until that line is fully inspected, they can't stand that back up and give you power. And then that is a very systematic approach to do that so they don't blow up all the substations and so on. The other way, of course, is what we've seen in the north, where the power pole just burns off at the bottom and everything just falls over, and we've seen hundreds and hundreds of poles that are in that situation.
There's a number of us out at Dalmeny and Kayanga that didn't evacuate into town on Saturday. We stayed on the headland, and as on Sunday I drove past, there were people all the way to Kayanga along the headland. Now, what are we meant to do? Are we...
Please don't go to a headland. Don't go to a headland or a beach.
Just wait.
Even Dalmeny or Kayanga, that's got a choice.
So, just to clarify the question around Dalmeny Kayanga, so the advice currently is if you're in Dalmeny or Kayanga, you can stay put. The question that I was asked was about, do you go to somewhere that's exposed? The safest place for you if you're in those villages is in the protection of your house. If you feel unsafe in that situation and you have a high level of anxiety about staying, then of course come back to the central town and where you feel more comfortable. But there is no need, as it is in my case in Churros, to relocate unless you're getting strong advice from the RFS to do so.
Listen, right at the moment, we are having rumours going around on Facebook about Kayanga and Dalmeny need to be evacuated. That is not correct. You will be given plenty of warning ahead of a catastrophic or a extreme fire danger day to voluntarily self-evacuate. That is different from evacuation orders given to you by authorities. Please be very clear on that. There are 3 things that I'm going to tell you that are very important. Number 1 is, do not get your information off Facebook. Okay? It is very dangerous and it can put people's lives in danger. You will be given plenty of warning to self-evacuate. Now what that means is, they will say to you there's a day that's going to be predicted that if you feel scared, they will tell you your area may come under fire threat, and those are the times when you should, in an orderly fashion, come into the town centre. Now that doesn't mean that you have to go and register at the evacuation centre straight away. What that means is come into town, be in an area, where you can have a coffee, go to the club, be in those areas. You will get plenty of warning. If there is a evacuation proper, you will be given those orders by RFS, by police and by authorities. You will be given plenty of warning, okay? But it is really important that you do not get your information off Facebook or your mate next door, because it is really important that you go to that correct source, and that is the Fires Near Me app. I know there is a lot of frustration at times that it doesn't upload and the information's not correct, but I can tell you, having been through it, when it comes, you will get a notification on your phone saying there's a fire coming into your area. You will get plenty of warning. Stay hooked into the ABC and our local radio stations. They will give you the most up-to-date, correct information that is coming to you directly from the RFS. It's not coming from Facebook information and social groups, it's coming from your RFS information, okay?
Can I ask why you said don't go to the headlands, please?
Look, the advice from the RFS is that in terms of ranking of places, being outside in a hot ember attack, that's where you've literally got hot embers coming at you, is a very, very uncomfortable place to be. So inside a safe building, properly sheltered from both the heat that is coming, but also the ember tank is a much safer place for you to be. So we would just encourage you not to go to those. I'll give you an example. The other day at the Browlee fire, if you'd have moved from your house in the middle of Browlee to the beach, what happened was the fire came across the George Bass Drive, it went over the top of the houses and spotted into the sand dune, and then the whole sand dune caught fire. Meanwhile, 95% or 98%, there's only one house lost in the whole of Browlee, was perfectly fine and untouched. You could have been quite comfortable in your house if you'd have been on that beach. The people at Rosedale, the people who decided to stay there, they physically went into the water up to their waist. It's not a great place to be.
And on a road is not a good
And the other really, really important message is we did have people didn't shelter in place, got in cars, thank God they got out, but they only had to get 50 metres down the road and have a tree down in front of them, and we would have had people cooked in cars. That's how serious it is, and that's how important it is to follow the advice from the RFS. The worst thing you can do is panic at the last minute and get in your car and try and outrun a fire, because you will not outrun this fire. Okay? It's really important. So you have now got an opportunity to go and get all that incredible information off the RFS website about how to get your houses ready, how to get your fire plans, and how to make sure that you know where you can go to get that information.
That message that you were talking about, will that still come through into the telecommunications down, like as an SOS?
No, it won't, and that is a really good point. But that's where your radio stations, it's important. When they say watch and act, have your radio station on, have your phone charged and ready to go. Another thing is, look, and just going through the experience with just what's gone on in Batemans Bay, if you can get your hands on a generator, I tell you what, please do it. I'm not kidding. Get yourselves a generator, because as I'm on a rural property again, I have a pump and a water tank. I knew the very first thing that would happen being out there and isolated is the electricity would go off and I wouldn't have a pump and I would have no water. So I was prepared and ready that when that scenario happened, I was ready to plug my generator into my pump so that I still had some water. I had firefighting pumps ready to go, but all of that advice and information is on the how to get your house ready from the RFS website.
Question about the putting yellow bins out if we do evacuate. That's still current. We leave the yellow bin out there. Well, if we're staying, we leave the yellow bin there. Is that
So just quickly, with the bins, the question was, obviously what we were telling the public to do is to put the bin out the front, okay? That way we knew someone was still home defending. The case now with bins going out to be collected, they're going to be left there. So, at the end of the day, I don't want you tipping out all your stuff onto the nature strip or whatever. What you need to do, the best thing you do is maybe put a sign up on the bin, sign up on the house. The more information we've got, it gives us something better to deal with, okay? So we've said on this hand bins, and now I'm telling you to do this. So, at the end of the day, whatever you can do to help us is going to be great.
Hi everyone, my name's Ray Ledden, I'm the Community Relations Manager at Essential Energy. Just wanted to highlight that just be prepared that your power may go out before the fire's in your area. We have a large sub-transmission line that brings power to this area, so if the fire is elsewhere, that line may go and the whole supply may actually be lost to the area. So just be prepared that your power may go out with your pumps and things like that to defend your property before the fire is actually close by. Okay, thank you.
Look, we'll take one more and then we might wrap up. If there's anything else, it's a burning question, but there is a huge amount. Sorry. If there's anything that's really important, but there is a huge amount of information out there.
extremely grateful for everything you're doing. The map is great, except people of my age know, which is most of us here. You need bold type place names on these maps. I can't see where it is.
Okay, we can certainly try. And somebody just suggested that we need bold place names on the maps to help with people that may have issues with vision and things. We can look at that. We will do our best. But I must say that's probably on the scheme of the list in front of us might be a little bit low on priorities, but yeah.
People can see on these maps any place.
Yeah.
Go to the website.
You can go to the website.
Yeah. Get the magnifying glass.
Okay, look, we will do our best. We will do our best. I've heard you and we'll see what we can do about that. Absolutely.
You don't need the internet. You can do it on your mobile phone. Using your mobile phone circuit, all that stuff. So if you've got that, you don't need the internet.
Yeah, you don't. Right. All right, thank you everybody. Please stay safe. Take care.